I'm still committing to this Wanda Stan bit I got going on, which is ironic because I really am a Wanda Stan. I just really don't like Marvel as a wealthy, gigantic, art-killing film studio the longer they try to keep my attention. I think a part of why I can't just, jump in headfirst and consider myself an enjoyer of lowbrow art or cinema, which I am. I've seen this movie twice, and my first video that got minimal views was about the TV show Charmed. And I'd argue Charmed is not lowbrow and deserves the respect that it's owed. And I blame the Buffy fans. And yes, I have seen the comments, and I will formally apologize for misremembering that the character from Descendants is actually the daughter of... How do I explain this? Okay, that the actress from Charmed who plays Maggie, who also played a character in Descendants, I said that they're the daughter of Rapunzel when it's actually Aurora. So I'm very sorry for that. My sincerest apologies to the one person that commented on my video. And without going into the minutiae about what is even considered lowbrow art, I think part of the problem is just the small fear that I potentially get labeled as, say, I don't know, a geek. But like a geek still stuck in the mid-2010s. I promise I do not own a pair of cargo shorts and sandals. I do have a Zelda shirt, but I only wear it when all my clothes are stuck in the pit that is my laundry basket. But I was also not there for the fan service. Both showings, I heard the same gasp and muffled cheer at the presence of John Krasinski, as the stretchy man from Fantastic Four, and I just couldn't. I really don't know. I really don't want to downplay anyone's rush of joy at the sight of a man who appeared for 2 scenes and died in one of them, but it becomes so funny when someone shows up in this movie just for that one shot to be dragged on for just a little too long. I really would have loved to be in an empty theater when that happened so I could just revel in the awkward silence. But as someone who just likes whatever they like for God knows why, I still want to give credit where credit is due, because Multiverse of Madness was really good in most parts. Okay, spoiler-free section, I guess. I honestly, if you're annoyed by my John Krasinski's spoiler, then I don't know what to tell you. I think I just saved you from experiencing an unnecessary cameo and a single shot that went on for just a little bit too long. I'd say this movie was worth it for everything but the beginning and the very, very end. If you know nothing about the Marvel Universe, have never seen a single movie, or know who any of these clowns are, then I'd be very fascinated to know what you thought and be very sorry if you were confused. But at the same time, my suggestion shouldn't even exist at all. Like my want for other people to enjoy a very entertaining movie shouldn't rely on a pre-established canon that is essentially multiple hours of homework if someone wants to get the full picture. By this point, I'm just asking you to actively ignore elements that are potentially vital to understanding the story, to hope and pray that you get something out of it, and that just doesn't seem fair. This shouldn't be something movie studios with this high influence on pop culture and budget should just do. Marvel is solely responsible for this comic book movie and TV fatigue that I mentioned in my Charm video. At least I blame them. I mean, it's already becoming well satirized and parodied at this point, and none of my friends wanted to see this movie with me. And for some, I didn't even really have to ask, and of course, I know they would go with me if I did because they're my friends, but I know there'd be this lingering insecurity that they'd only come to watch it with me out of obligation. And not obligation because I asked, but obligation because it's a Marvel movie. Not an Avengers or a Spider-Man. This is a crossover movie, and it doesn't count apparently, but at the same time, I get it. This is a crossover movie, but with the wizard guy with a mediocre origin film and a red witch lady with an entire TV show you have to watch to fully understand her role in the movie. At least the annoying cameos weren't prolonged. I wouldn't call the Falcon appearing for a single scene in the Ant-Man a crossover movie. We all know that was purely for the audience to go, I know who that is. Look at them talk and interact with each other for completely necessary reasons. This one awkward scene totally doesn't break my immersion of a supposedly self-contained story. Anyway, this video isn't about Ant-Man. It's about a red witch lady who left me crying, screaming, gagging, all on the inside though, because I was very tense throughout this movie and did not move a single muscle whenever she appeared on screen. I joke that I stan Wanda and will cheer for her journey into chaos and violence, but like, damn, like, this movie delivered much more than I expected from such a brand integral studio. They really went further than I expected to frame Wanda as this force of unstoppable chaos that she is. And Doctor Strange was there too. I mean, I'm obviously biased not to think too much about him. He has this character arc throughout the movie, but with Marvel's tendency to paint most of their characters with the same morally righteous side and have to end almost every movie with the good guy winning. Following along where Doctor Strange's arc feels more like a chore at this point, because no matter what he learns, he's gonna win. He's gonna learn a lesson and beat the bad guy, and that lesson was probably interesting for some people, but it didn't really stick with me. I think it's just because Doctor Strange will just always be the same. I don't think there was that much of a shift in personality or behavior for me to be invested in. It felt like the entire time Doctor Strange just needed to learn to move on from Rachel McAdams and to be more a compassionate, trusting, and selfless person by the end of the movie. And spoilers, he does. Although I think I've spoiled the ending of the first Doctor Strange too. And characters can evolve, yet stick with their habits and flaws. But I think framing Doctor Strange's character arc to be mostly an issue with his romance with Rachel McAdams was something that didn't really have anything to do thematically with the overall plot. Like, I think it did. And I can see how moving on from Rachel McAdams parallels Wanda's need to move on from getting her kids back, but I don't think they ever really talked to each other about it in that way. It was a lot of feigned sympathies that you could tell they were just going to contribute nothing to connect the conflict between the two leads. But it very much felt like framed like two separate conflicts throughout the runtime. Like, on one side, it was Doctor Strange's conflict with Rachel McAdams and his flaws versus Wanda's conflict of wanting to be a mother. And yeah, Wanda's conflict motivations were pretty straightforward. And I don't know how to feel about that because while at the same time the movie delivered on her reign of chaos, her motivations were very simple. And that's not necessarily a bad thing when it comes to what you want to take away from this movie. Like, I already mentioned how she's essentially a menace throughout most of the runtime. Like, the movie did not waste time in the beginning to let you know who the baddie was going to be. As soon as you know she's evil and out for blood, her motivations are pretty clear-cut and stay that way for the rest of the film. Like, Wanda doesn't have this inner conflict she wrestles with at the beginning or gets challenged throughout the movie. It only ever really gets challenged at the last half hour of the runtime. And I can see why some people who are especially invested in Wanda's character and conflict would have an issue with this because it essentially denotes Wanda's purpose throughout the movie as a menacing force that the protagonists have to run away from. But at the same time, I can see how this framing of Wanda made for an effective horror movie monster if that's what you want to take away. Like, she's definitely got a lot more going on compared to many of the other Marvel movie villains in the past. I love Mads Mikkelsen, but I would still take Wanda over him any day. Like, a part of me would have wanted to see this movie tackle a lot more of the character drama behind her, but this stupid evil book took away a lot of that blame that would have come from Wanda doing bad things because of everything she's been through. And that kind of contrivance to make her the villain just took away her agency. And it took away the possible teeth the story could have had if Wanda had full control over her actions. And then to later face the consequences to make her redemption feel more earned. And more earned in a way where she really just had to do the work to get to that point. Instead, the book is just destroyed. She supposedly dies while destroying this book. And that's it. She was good the whole time. Everyone can just be mad at the book. I say all this, and yet there's this other perspective that I understand some people are going to see this movie through. I can see past my dedication to the cause that this movie isn't solely about Wanda and not a sequel to WandaVision. Except it is. I'm gonna keep telling myself that. I was a sucker for the nods to WandaVision, but this is a sequel story to Doctor Strange, and Marvel hired Sam Raimi to make it their campy horror thriller installment to the franchise, and I honestly really couldn't ask for a better horror movie monster than Wanda. But to make her the monster and be extremely effective at doing so, it is just more evidence to me that this movie just deserved to be Wanda's movie. Like my brain only ever perked up whenever Wanda showed up and said or did anything. Again, I'm probably very biased, but I would not believe anyone if they told me that Wanda's scenes and presence did nothing to contribute to the horror and suspense of this movie. Because this movie will give your children nightmares, and that's just a very accurate statement. Like, after my first viewing, like, the family sitting next to me who brought their 2 toddlers to the sequel to Doctor Strange for some reason had to console one of their kids and ask them if they were okay. Like, this little boy was scared, and I bet he's going to have nightmares for the rest of his life. Which is the best outcome I could ask for when it comes to measuring an excellent Scarlet Witch performance. What's also funny is that the dad kind of scolded his kid by saying, "You wanted to come see this movie. Look what happened." But it's fine. They hug it out, which is more than any little boy could ask for after watching a movie where the scary witch lady goes on a murderous rampage. Like, I'm legit surprised by how much I love this movie, past the Marvelisms, and believe me, if I wasn't there for Wanda, I'd consider this movie as the same tier as the first Doctor Strange. And if you're wondering my thoughts on the first Doctor Strange, that is, the first Doctor Strange is about as quality as this movie, except without Wanda. I am not here to judge fair, I am here to give my stupid opinions. And I also think I'm starting a war with the Doctor Strange stans, but, I mean, it's a war I'm willing to ignore, so I could have time to literally do anything else. Alright, let's have a little post-redemption/prediction party after party. That's what I'm gonna call it. Yeah, considering Wanda's redemption happened in the last 5 minutes of this movie, I can't say it didn't happen, but I can still respond to some of the points I made in my previous video. That video that I recorded at like 2 a.m. with a mustache that is significantly worse than the one I'm wearing now. I jotted down some notes. Black hair with the black curtains not working. And the mustache. I make sure to make a note to point out the mustache. And I don't know how to fix the black hair, black curtain thing. Just gonna have to be a weird optical illusion. I don't know. Oh, I didn't rewatch WandaVision. Again, I'd just be doing homework for the second time. I also didn't go in cosplay, but I was complimented for my outfit. And I've decided to wear it now, even though it is far from the day that I went to go see this movie for the first time. I think they used a different take for the "it doesn't seem fair" line. Like, I think. I haven't checked back to make sure. Even if I did, I would probably have to, like, put them side by side just to make sure. But, like, both times I saw it, something was very off. I want to say that's why. She did went unhinged, and I can tell my past self in that video that we are very happy. Wanda was the antagonist the entire time, but only if we don't think too much about the book and how much the book kind of spoils things a bit. Doctor Strange contributed nothing to stop Wanda from doing it bad, which I honestly think is the outcome you wouldn't expect, but the outcome that I would have preferred. Considering even this movie seemed a little self-aware that these two characters, they got nothing crossing. In terms of their stories, their conflicts, it just did not. They don't need to talk to each other. It's fine. They don't need to be friends. No older versions of Billy and Tommy, which I was very sad. Because I want my Billy and Teddy. I want my Wiccan and Hulkling. No Monica Rambeau. That one is, I kind of feel bad for, because that wasn't even my own guess. I kind of took that from someone. I don't know, does it count as, like, plagiarism? Plagiarism. Does it count as, like, copying someone? If you take their prediction that you want. It's not even that I wanted to see Monica Rambeau that much. Like, I was just like, that makes sense, I guess. Not many repercussions. Yeah, they did do the thing where they just, everything bad that she does and gets repercussions for is just in this movie. It's just for the things that she does in the movie, not for anything that happened in Westview. Like, I think, we can just forget about that. WandaVision happened. Yeah, this movie kind of retroactively made WandaVision kind of pointless. Like, only if you don't think about it too much. Patrick Stewart was in the movie. I mean, that was already a given. And lastly, this movie was reasonably cathartic. I can say that. I mean, I've watched it twice, and I watched it twice only for that one scene where she just kills people. And in that video, that's what I wanted, and I got it. I forgot how I was gonna end this. Some parts of me is like, I can't believe I'm doing a video on a Marvel movie. I thought Charmed was going to be like a niche one enough to get more views than I expected. But this, like, I think the fact that I'm making this is really a testament to how much I love this lady right here. I don't even think it was that funny. I think I was just like saying things. Okay, let's just end it. I'm done.